and thank you for joining one of PMG's webinars. This one's titled, Show the Value of IT, Get Bimodal. So for those of you who haven't joined one of our webinars before, we do a monthly webinar. It's about 30 minutes where we focus on really some trends we're seeing in the industry, work that we're doing with our clients. The goal isn't to do sales, it's really to talk about things that we're seeing and open up a dialogue with our clients and potential prospects of how to utilize PMG and ways that we're seeing in the IT industry go. So a little bit about me. My name is Miklowski. I am a sales executive here at PMG. I've been working in IT industry for over 10 years, and prior to doing sales, I was actually doing implementations of the PMG product with various Fortune 500 companies, spoken at a few different conferences, service management conferences, financial management type conferences. But what's nice about my role is that I have the interesting perspective of not only keeping up to date with things that analysts are talking about, right, Gartner, Forrester, the different analysts that they're seeing and things that they're talking about at conferences, but also the opportunity to meet with lots of different companies and the challenges that they're trying to overcome. Now, hopefully these challenges are related to something that PMG can provide and leads to a prospect and go from there. But other times just them reaching out, bouncing off ideas, talking about things that they're currently encountering. And that having that perspective really drives what today's focus is, which is showing the value of IT and the trend around, if you follow the Gartner releases about the bimodal approach. So today, we're going to talk about technology in general and technology in the IT department, why people invest in technology. What is a common issue that people are running into, and what we hear a lot about is the perception of the IT department. Then looking at the buzz on bimodal, what is it, how can it be applied to the work that you're doing, and how can it be applied to showing value of the IT department to the rest of the company. And then when reality wins, because it goes back to the whole idea. You're fighting perception, if IT has a bad perception within the company, but you're providing lots of value, but you aren't just demonstrating that. When does the truth come out? How can you display that value? Because you are providing value. If the IT departments weren't providing value, they'd all be outsourced, they disappear. The rumors or the negative speak that you hear would be true, but it isn't. The thing is that companies, the IT departments do provide lots of value to the rest of the enterprise. Just being able to demonstrate that in a proactive way, in a productive way, can be a challenge. So let's get started first. Why do people invest in technology? And really, it boils down into three core concepts. One is to mitigate risks, another is to decrease costs, and another is to increase profits. And so if you think about mitigating risks, this could be purchases that you make to track processes, audit logs, tracking people's digital footprint, understanding what approvals are going on within the company. Anything, if your SOX audited, how can you provide information about making sure that you're compliant with governance standards, putting in disaster recovery processes so that if servers go down, you can spin up somewhere else and continue to run your business. So that's one type of one of the reasons people invest in technology. Another one being to decrease costs. So you may have a process that's already in place, but it's slow to do, and you can add automation around it. It may be integrating systems, putting together knowledge repositories, adding in collaboration tools, different types of technology that allows you to minimize work that could be automated or work that's taking too long to be completed. I mean, this is emails, reduce the cost of having to make phone calls and send letters and things like that is a basic one. And then putting in things like workflows and automated approvals and things like self-service processing. Those are other ways that people are able to decrease costs, which improve the value and the things that IT departments are doing. Also, if you think about virtual environments that are currently being spun up right now, and being comfortable with moving things off their internal data center, moving to an external provider, all different ways that using technology, and finally looking at increasing profits. Right. So what's the touch point that you have if you were dealing your customers? Right. Is it creating some type of e-commerce site so they can go and request services? Is it interaction that you have with your clients and customers, so that they spend more money with you and they go and use more of the services that you provide. So those are kind of the core things that really drive why people buy technology, but that's really the questions that are being asked when I talk with CIOs and I talk about managed service provider, managers, right? They're not saying, hey, how do I reduce costs or how do I increase profits? The question that comes up a lot is, we're providing a lot of value to the company, but no one knows it. There's no way to show the value that I'm providing. And the reason for that is because typically IT departments are looked at as a maintenance service, keeping the lights on, right? Some business department or operations team or sales team, somebody decided to purchase software that then has to be maintained by the IT department for, if it's on-premise, managing servers and databases and processing requests for access, and then also looked at as a center for support. Right? So my keyboard broken. I'm going to, I need to open up a help desk ticket, right? I need a new keyboard, things along those lines. And unfortunately, that tends to be kind of the perception that the IT department gets, even though they're providing different types of value, right? They're providing more than just maintaining those systems and closing help desk tickets. But that isn't always shown to the rest of the company. And so I hear things like, when I'm request, it goes into a black hole, or the IT department's not with the bottom line, or we just outsource some of this work, right? If we're doing this internally, why don't we just focus on doing it, finding a vendor or some type of partner to do the work for us? And that's unfortunate because the IT departments are providing a lot of value. And it's also a twofold issue, because if the business is perceiving the IT department as just being a help desk and a support center, then also the people that are working in the IT department aren't doing innovative things with technology, right? If you're in technology, I think about, I'm in technology, a lot of people on this call, you work in technology. Why did you do that? Because you wanted to be on the cutting edge of new ideas, right? You wanted to be able to improve people's lives by automating processes or making things easier to work with, taking data and using that data to come up with algorithms and improving information being passed from one place to another. But if your job is just looking at it as, oh yeah, I just open and close tickets, or I just make sure that a server stays up and running, then as an employee, you don't really feel like you're actually adding that value to the bottom line as well too, that you're helping the rest of the company out. So the perception, but the truth is that you are doing this, right? And so the key for the IT department is to be able to market the things that they're doing, right? Because while keeping, fixing a broken keyboard or making sure email is working or giving access are tasks that you're doing, essentially you're providing services that if they did exist or they weren't executed well, they would halt the entire company, right? If email goes down, then that's going to impact everybody in the business. If people aren't able to have access to systems to, provision, a purchase or complete a purchase, those are going to cause issues as well too. Your external page, people can order directly from it. If that's not up and running, yeah, that's going to impact the business. So the value that the IT department provides is huge, but often it's just looked at as different types of tasks. And unfortunately, perception's reality in some ways that if you aren't demonstrating that value in a digestible way to the rest of the company, then that perception is going to be maintained there. It's going to stay the way that it is. And this really brings in the idea of the service catalog, right? This is, if you think about, if you go back to the ideal definition of the catalog, it's all the different services that the IT department provides to the rest of the company. And so things aren't looked at as tasks anymore; they're looked at as services, which is great. It's not always implemented, but when it is, the company starts seeing the value that the IT department provides in the ways of services, and they're able to track those service levels, make sure things are being done correctly and that they're doing correctly, and issues with that where they can do some process improvement. And if you look back, if you're familiar with ITIL, they typically look at the service catalog as the menu of a restaurant, right? These are all the services that you provide. And then that's expanded even more, where if you think today's modern service catalog not only is the menu, but it's also the server and the cooks and the chefs in the kitchen, right? Because it's a way that you can look at all the services that are being provided, or those services automate that process through a workflow. PMG helps with that. It provides that one-stop shop. It tracks SLAs, modern service catalogs. That's the value that they provide. But it's just technology, right? So people use technology just like if you buy an ERP system, it doesn't all of a sudden handle all your inventory issues. If you buy a service catalog or implement a service catalog, it's not all of a sudden just going to handle all the perception issues or defining things as services within your company. There also has to be a strategic change as well too. So if marketing IT is the goal and a product of PMG as a technology or as a platform that allows you to achieve that goal, then what is the business change? What is the strategic change that has to happen to be able to take advantage of that? And one of the topics that's trending right now, coming from Gartner, is the idea of working bimodally, having two different modes for the IT department. And if you follow the articles that have come out in the last couple of years, maybe a year and a half, there's a lot of things written about this, especially from Gartner analysts, and there's also a lot of things written about detractors, people that don't agree with it. People saying, hey, this is an old idea that's just being remarketed and repurposed, and I tend to agree with that. I think it isn't something that's brand new or something that's not been used before or thought that hasn't been implemented before, but it's becoming more and more prevalent now because of cloud service providers, people outsourcing applications. Every CIO wants to somehow make their company a digital business, right? And they don't necessarily know what that means. So there's this, bimodal is at least one concept that can help you really organize the value and the things, the activities that the IT department does, so that it can be understood not only as providing what they refer to as mode 1 type services, which are reliable, predictable, efficient services, but also mode 2 services, which are more of your agile type services and new processes and new applications that might be created. So the kind of spin that I take on it, or the way I look at it is, because I look at things as services, I think I look at bimodal as being a way to separate services into two different modes, right? So mode 1 is your linear approach, which is a process that A, B, C, D happens, right? It's something that is typical. It's not in flux a lot of times. You may be doing it today very well, but you want to put some automation around it, right? This is kind of, if you think about it like onboarding, right? That onboarding process isn't really changing all that often. Requesting a laptop or having software pushed to someone's computer, that's a process that is pretty standard in the company, or hope it is. And while it might be manual, right, you might have emails and Excel sheets being passed around, or having to deliver the software directly to somebody's laptop, or go hand it to them. It's at least a process that's in place. Where mode 2 is more of focusing on speed and integration of that don't necessarily follow a rigid linear process. It's more of an unstructured way of producing services. And it's also a different mindset as far as how do you implement these things. So mode 1 being more of, okay, we should probably be able to Visio diagram this completely. A happens and C happens. Whereas mode 2 is more of, let's talk with different teams, talk about, if A happens, then B happens, and it fails, where do we go after that? What kind of different factors play into that as we're building out a process? So the way that kind of, if you take the PMG approach, which is looking at things through a platform, that mode 1 really fits well with what we came in for, right? PMG is known as a scout. You look at the results and the critical capabilities and things along those lines. We're rated very high for being able to do this, which is providing a way for people to quickly go in and request some type of service, right? Putting some automation around service, whether it's getting a password reset or requesting access to a certain application, providing a single portal for people to request those things and a workflow engine to be able to process those things. But so this is more your mode 1 type work, but it still hits on those 3 core things of why people implement technology, right? So if it's risk mitigation, anything that you're providing as a company, any service that you're providing in mode 1, you're tracking that, right? You know what happens for an approval process for someone to get access to an application. You are tracking SLAs. You're able to show that information to CIOs, CFOs, whatever information you want to have that you're tracking. You have those nice dashboards all through the portal. Increasing profit, if you're allowing people to request those services through a portal, maybe your business partners, they're seeing other things that can be requested through the company. So it's all in one single location to be able to request that and show all the value that your department's providing or that your business is providing. And then keep reducing costs, which is providing automation of those services, right? They shouldn't be, research shouldn't be a task that's sent to somebody to execute on. Requesting a password to something that's automated, so talk directly to that system and do the automation of that system. So that's more of like the mode 1 thing. So as I mentioned, this is really kind of the bread and butter of what PMG has done historically. If you look at our history and the things that we provided as a service catalog provider. And just to give a real world example of that, Analog Devices is one of our clients. They've actually given a webinar about how they were able to implement the PMG tool. And their focus was really on optimizing service delivery, right? They had a company mandate that said, okay, we want to start focusing our efforts on value-added services. So let's streamline processes that we can. Right, so some of those processes weren't defined, so they're able to use the platform to have those conversations to talk about, okay, what does our onboarding process look like? What does our software procurement process look like? Put it into the PMG tool and allow people to use self-service, to go and request those services and automate the entire processing of that. I mean, another simple one is you think of a mobile phone. Not only can they request a phone, but also make sure, okay, what do we have the right carrier, right? Do we verify the delivery was made to the right person? Are we making sure that phone is able to access the network, the company network, to be able to get onto different applications, check email, things along those lines. So it's a full end-to-end service that's able to be provided through the service catalog. And so those are kind of your standard process, right? It falls in line with that mode 1 idea of things that are predictable. And the focus then isn't on just how many mobile phones were you able to complete or request or able to complete, but how are you able to automate that process? So there's a continual work that's done in improving that services and automating it, speeding it, and improving efficiency within that service. So there's still a lot of work to be done in mode 1 and a lot of innovative work that can be done in mode 1. Now, when you look at more mode 2, this is more of your quick projects, right? This is short-term delivery. That idea of failing fast. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try something different. What kind of application can we build? What kind of service can we do that's going to help the business? ROI is not as important with these types of services because they may not bring value, right? But you'll find out quickly and you'll move on to some other type of application or another type of service, or you'll learn from those mistakes and build something else. You're really focused on what the customer experience is. So if you're designing a service or designing an app, how are they going to interact with the system? And also you're focusing on integration and collaboration. I think this is a real key because there's so much data that's out today within organizations, but they're not necessarily talking to each other. So how can we utilize all the data that we have to be able to deliver some great service? And it could be pulling in data for marketing activities, right? So we can know that what email campaigns have we used, or what websites are we using, and where are we seeing a lot of growth, and what are people clicking on? How do I use that data to then build out another service or contact those people? Right? If I know there's a lot of clicks that are happening as people are interested in Bimodal, well then let me focus on having a conversation about Bimodal with those potential prospects. And also the idea of collaboration is in mode 2 as well too, which is working with different teams. So it isn't just the IT team creating something or trying to process, but it's working with different groups within the company to be able to build something that is useful across the business, but also has the input from different types of companies. So mode 2, let me give you a couple examples. I think might kind of build on that, and still leveraging what we do here at PMG. General Mills is a really great example of going into that mode 2 mentality, right? So mode 1 isn't as much focused here on your active IT services. This one is focused on being able to automate their product cycle. And in fact, they spoke about this just last month, gave a presentation of how they're able to implement this. But their goal was they need to start doing different projects for their food products, right? Sitting with milk and cereals and yogurt and all those great things that you purchase. But they had projects that are out there, initiatives out there that were ideas like, let's reduce sodium, right? How do we make products that are gluten-free, reducing sugar, different initiatives that they had within the company, right? And that's something that they wanted to be able to work with, right? So how could they then work with the IT department or work with different people within the company to be able to do those things, right? How can we have a project about reducing sodium and be able to what does that mean? What actual activities are we doing? So collaboration really was key here, which is having somebody, an IT team, to work as kind of the centralized hub of I'm going to be collecting requirements and building out the services for you that's going to help you be able to tackle reducing sodium on food products. So that included working with those food engineers, which said, okay, what kind of ingredients do you need? What is your process? Well, I need to know what the ingredients are. I need to send them to a lab so that I'm able to create new food products. Working with supplies and inventory team to say, okay, this food engineer is going to be requesting these ingredients. What do I need to make sure that we have in stock? What do I need to order so that if they want to bake some new cookie, they're going to have the ingredients there to be able to do so. They also talked to the quality teams, right? Who's doing the surveys? Who's doing the tasting? Who's actually going to look at that new cookie we created, taste it, and say, hey, this is great. You guys should start selling this. It's gluten-free and delicious. That's awesome. Or, hey, this doesn't taste so good. Go back to the drawing board. What else can we do there? And even included some external business partners, such as their cleaning teams, right? So if they're working with something on peanuts and they need to make sure all the systems are clean and remove peanuts because people have peanut allergies, they broker that information out, have those teams work together with them. So the idea is there's a lot of different activities that are happening. Well, what if we built a way to be able to manage all that in one single location? And that's exactly what they did. Now, they leveraged the PMG tool to do that, which is why I know about this story, but it also was taking that mode 2 mentality, which was we're gonna integrate different systems, such as our inventory systems and our request systems and even our tracking of taste and results of what people think about when they eat their food, and bring all that information together so that we can make an informed decision on whether or not to move forward on a food product. I mean, there were 8 different systems that they had integrated together. They found out there's all sorts of redundant data within the company and different work that these different teams were doing. But now that it was in a single place, a single location, they were able to, check the portal, increase the speed on it, and they're able actually to increase profits as well too, because they're now able to get food products on the shelves faster because now they have a more streamlined process. So it really takes that mode 2 idea of the integrations and the collaborations among your different teams to really build out different services. What also goes back to that showing the value of IT that we were talking about is not only the mode 1 stuff that IT is doing, right, making sure that email's working and that systems are up and that you're having communication within the company, but also the IT department's assisting our business and doing something more successfully, right? Streamlining the product lifecycle. Being able to manage that information. So that's where the IT team is involved in really adding value to that bottom line, or actually the top line, since they're going to be able to increase profits by getting more products out into the market. Another example of that is with one of our U.S. managed service provider clients, which really wanted to differentiate themselves from other managed service providers by having a unique end user experience. Right? They wanted their clients to be able to come to one place and request different services, whether it's spinning up servers within their internal data center, or if it's spinning up servers with external providers like Amazon and Microsoft. And what they needed to have was a platform that would allow multi-tenancy, so different clients to see different services. Those different clients would see different reports. They'd be able to track costs. They'd be able to see really from beginning to end everything that's associated with their infrastructure that they're ordering. And so this is another idea of taking that mode 2 concept, which is what can we do as an IT department to really help grow our sales, right, and increase our profits. And this is collaboration again had to happen with not only the cloud management teams, but also the account managers, because these are the people that are maintaining relationships with their different clients, the sales teams. Now this becomes a sales tool and a differentiator on the market to be able to say, you know, hey client, if you've worked with us, we provide this easy self-service portal where you can request everything and track your costs, and you'll know what your budget is going for the next few months, all in one location. They're also able to add some agility to the services that they provide, because they could build new services or make new offerings all in one portal, and maybe they show it to some clients, or maybe some special clients, and those clients liked it and gave some feedback, so they could expand out to other clients as well, to really taking that agile approach of prototyping new services, getting them launched, and then working with a smaller group of companies to get their feedback, and then improving on their services and determining what they want to offer. Right, the ability to do backups on different servers, the ability to transfer data from one data center to another data center. So all these things really taking that mode 2 idea, which is being fast and agile and doing more services that are focused on collaboration and integration. So if we think about that, if I go back to really what Gartner puts out as mode 1 and mode 2, or mode 2 being efficient and predictable, those are more of your typical IT service catalog type services that you provide, requesting hardware, getting software, having that push to someone's computer, getting system access, you know, infrastructure requests for spinning up servers or having physical servers allocated for certain projects. But then also having your IT department focus on those mode 2 things as well too, which is, you know, the example I gave is a product lifecycle management, building out a new customer interface to be able to improve the relationships and the touch points that a company has with its different clients, you know, different sales and marketing initiatives, all available, all done through the mode 2. So it's really kind of a, you know, it's not anything new. Obviously, the IT departments in a lot of ways are doing this today, but they might be so heavily focused on mode 1 and things that are kind of seen as typical processes or more standard processes, that they haven't showed the business that we also do a lot of mode 2 work as well too. We actually help drive new solutions or come up with innovative ways that our companies can be able to work with its clients. And so, you know, that mode 1, mode 2 really comes into how you define those services, and really where does that service fall into? You know, what type of work are they doing with each one? And with each one of those, you're still getting a result of showing value, right? Because mode 1 things have to happen, and they are important, and you can track the SLAs, and you can track, you know, how often services are up and running, or how many requests are coming through, and demonstrate the value that the IT department is providing in those mode 1 services, but also in those mode 2 services as well too, for new innovative ideas that are coming out as your IT department works with the rest of the business. So, quick recap. You know, technology. Remember, there's really 3 things why people implement technology: it's reduce costs, mitigate risks, and increase profits. And perception is reality. So if unfortunately, if the perception of your IT department is good, it's because you aren't marketing the things that the IT provides. And so if you start looking at the services, what IT does as services, and then you can also take an even further step in breaking it down into mode 1 and mode 2, then you're demonstrating the value of providing services that keep the business up and running and are valuable. And without them, you know, you wouldn't be able to stay afloat. You wouldn't be able to do the work that you do on a daily basis. But also looking at mode 2 things, like how are you utilizing innovation within your IT department and building out new services or new applications. And it's all, you know, it's not just a service catalog platform that's going to be able to do that. It's just one piece of all the technology that goes into it, and these different mindsets that, these 2 different mindsets that help kind of, I guess, put a framework in place for the type of work that you're doing and the type of value that you're providing to the rest of the company. So we're right at 30 minutes, but as I mentioned, these webinars are opportunities for us to share with you some of the ideas and things that we're seeing in the market, as well as things that we're working on with our different clients. For those of you that work with your account managers to talk about how you can look at some potentially improving mode 1 services, or looking at mode 2 services that might be tackled together. Then also, you know, feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to have a further conversation about what PMG provides, and also how you can tackle or implement the mode 2 and mode 1 and mode 2 concepts into the activities that you're doing within your IT department. All right. Well, thanks everybody for your time, and take care. Have a great day.